Now we're going to look at more examples of factoring trinomials. So we're going to use the box methods to factor these trinomials. As you can see, if we count, there are always 1, 2, 3 terms. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3 terms. That's why we call this type trinomial. And so we're gonna, whenever we have this type, the way we're gonna do it is first just draw a 2 by 2 box. Let me move the box down a little bit so we can put the answer there. So what the question is trying to figure out, what times what is equal to x squared plus 6x plus 8, and the second is what times what is equal to x squared minus 7x plus 6, and the third one is trying to figure out what times what is equal to x squared minus 11x minus 42. So for each of them, we're going to draw a 2 by 2 box and determine those two factors in the parentheses. So after we get the answer, the first row will be our first factor, and the second row will be our second factor. So let's start with the first example. So in the first example, we always look at the first term. The first term is x squared. So we're going to break down x squared. What times what is x squared? Apparently, it has to be x times x. And then we're going to figure out what times what is 8. We look at the last term. Well, there are two possibilities. It could be 1 times 8 or 2 times 4. And so we have to try which one will be giving us the right answer. Suppose I tried positive 1 times positive 8, and let's see if it works. How do we know whether if it works? We are going to do cross multiply and combine it. So if we do cross multiply, we can see 8x times 8, positive 8, that's positive 8x. And we do x times 1, that gives us positive 1x. And combining them, that gives us a 9, positive 9x. Apparently, it does not match the one in the middle, 6x. So that tells us this try doesn't work. And now let's try, we know there's another way to break down 8. We can do 2 times 4, and let's see if it works. And if I put positive 2 here, and positive 4, as we can see, positive 2 times positive 4 still gives us 8. And we can, in order to know whether this is the correct choice, we do cross multiply. So as you can see, x times 4 is 4x, x times 2 is 2x. The other cross multiply gives us a 2x. Combining them, that gives us a positive 6, and that does match the one in the middle. So that tells us this is the correct answer. So the correct answer would be, when you write down the answer, we write down the two rows. First row, x plus 2. Second row, x plus 4. Okay, so now let's do the same thing to the second question. So look at the first one, x squared, we break down x times x, the only one way. And for 6, there are two ways. It could be 1 times 6, or it could be 2 times 3. And so if I try, try 2 times 3. If I do positive 2 times positive 3 and do the cross multiply, and as you can see, that gives us 3x, and that gives us a 2x. And 3x plus 2x is positive 5x. That won't work. So that means 2 and 3 doesn't work. So how about 106? So let's try 106. If I put positive 1 here and a positive 6 down there, and check cross multiplies. So we can see that these two cross multiply gives us a 6, which is positive 6. And the other two gives us a positive 1x. And positive 6x plus positive 1x gives us a positive 7x. But what we have is a negative 7x. as I said before, if you get the number to match but the sign is different, and all you have to do is to change the sign. So if you have a plus sign, you change it to a minus. So let's change this to a minus sign. And this is also plus, change it to minus. Now let's double check. Notice that -1 times -6 is still positive 6 because two negatives make a positive. So that won't change the that. And also, it will give us the -7 we need. So x times -6, -6x. X times -1, -1x. And -6 minus -1 is -7. So that tells us this is the correct answer. So again, when we write down the answer, we got to write down horizontally. So x minus 1 times x minus 6. So make sure when you write down the answer, you write down the first row times second row. First row, x minus 1 times the second row, x minus 6. Now, so let's work on the third example. So we look at the first term, x squared, and break it down as x times x. And we try to break down the last term, 42, which is also -42. But we're going to have to, there are so many options. We could do 1 times 42, 2 times 21, and 3 times 14, and 6 times 7. So there are many ways we could do. So let me write down all these possibilities here. So when the numbers are getting bigger, there are many options and possibilities that we have to try. That makes the problem more difficult to solve. 2 times 21, or 3 times 14, or 6 times 7, and that's all we have. Now we're going to see that, the worst case scenario is you tried 1 is 42, it doesn't work. You try 2 times 21, it doesn't work. You try next one, it doesn't work, and then finally, at most of 4 tries, you should get the correct answer. But if we take a close look, which pair here is best possible? Because notice that cross multiplies, we want to get -11. This is the one we want to get, the number -11. So by looking and checking the numbers, I can see 3 and 14. If I do +3, -14, that will give us a -11 because 3 minus 14 is -11. So that kind of gives me an idea, maybe. So I'm going to skip the first 2 tries and just try 3 and 14 directly. And one thing we need to be careful is, here I just listed all the possible breakdowns for 42. But in the problem, we have a -42 right here. We have to take that negative sign into consideration. And in order to get a negative number, we have to make sure one of them is positive, the other is negative. For example, +3 times -14. Or -3 times +14. One of them will work. I don't know which one, so let's try this. And so we're going to pick +3, -14, and do cross multiplies. X times -14 is -14x. And the other cross multiply is +3 times x. That gives us a +3x. Now we do -14 plus +3, and we know -14 plus 3 is -11x. Well, that matches the one we need in the middle. So that tells us this is the correct answer, correct choice. So we're lucky, and we got the correct answer in our first try. So now when we write down the answer, notice we have to put first row times second row. So that will be x plus 3 times x minus 14. So that's the answer. And notice, if you want to know whether you did the factoring correctly, you can always do it by always multiplying those out. You can do FOIL and see if you can go back to the trinomial given for all the questions. Right? If you don't want to show this, it's show your work on the paper, it's fine. But you can always do that check. And because, like we said, factoring is reverse multiplication. So if you want to know whether you got that right, you can multiply them out again. See, x times x gives x squared. X times 4 is 4x. X times 2 is 2x. So that 4x plus 2x is 6x. And then you do 2 times 4, it gives you 8. So if you multiply them out and you can go back to the problem given, that means your factoring is correct. Otherwise, you may have done something wrong.